hello, my beautiful guys and dolls, and welcome to an episode of Before the Curtain. I'm your host, Abby Campbell, and we are here to discover the passion behind the performance. Artists of all backgrounds will share their stories about what it takes to create, survive, and thrive in the competitive world of entertainment. Finding inspiration in their journeys, we aim to bring you everything that happens before the curtain. I am absolutely over the moon for today's guest. She's an absolute force to be reckoned with, a legend in the industry, and a beautiful soul that is fueled by her passion. With over 30 plus years of experience, she began her career as a professional dancer in music videos, movies, live shows, and tours, but rediscovered her passion when she became a dance and music agent at the Bobby Ball Talent Agency, one of the top talent agencies in Los Angeles representing the best dancers and musicians in the country. With her natural abilities, she casted musicians and vocalists for Beyoncé's Formation Tour and Coachella performances, Lady Gaga's Monster Ball Tour, Chippendale's International Tour, and I Man for Japan. Just to name a few. Her credits for television actually exceed the limit of my page, so just to name the highlights, she worked on The Four on Fox, Boy Band on ABC, Beyoncé's halftime performance Super Bowl 50 and Grammys, Hairspray's Live, Married at First Sight Season 1, Deal or No Deal Models, Abby's Ultimate Dance Competition, Dance Mobs, and like I said, guys, that's just the highlights. For commercials, she's done Shoe Carnival, SBC, Global, Motorola, Coors Light, Budweiser, Ready Whip, and more. But we have her here today to share with us her story of co-producing the highly sought-after dance showcase, Hot Property, and creation of IDD, Industry Dance Day, an event where she brings top choreographers and industry experts to mentor the Las Vegas community through classes, a mock audition, and a Q&A. Guiding dancers on navigating the business of dance, please help me welcome to the mic, Susan Salgado. So I'm going to be completely transparent with you guys that as soon as Susan walked into the door, we got into great conversation. So as any excited young gal does, I just clicked record on my computer, and I did while she was in the middle of sharing her experience at the 2024 Super Bowl. So forgive us as we launch you right into the middle of that story. Also, being the excited girl that I was, I didn't click record on both of my mics because God forbid I have it together. So I'm going to be doing my best to input my voice into her story as she tells it.
But it was just annoying when you have, and you can record this if you want, but they have so many dancers there that we're not supposed to be there. Because they said no professional dancers, time and time again, no professional dancers. And these people were not listening. They kept trying to learn the choreography on stage, and they were given directions where to go. They were not following instructions, and they're bumping into all these people with the cameras. I'm like, people, they're looking at certain angles. You've got eyes. You can see where you're going. Get out of their way. That just shows you how unprofessional they are. And it was so bad. It was so bad. In fact, I had a little bit of, not an altercation, but I was schooling people left and right because I was just like annoyed. One of the girls got sucker punched because we were supposed to do a swirl this way, and there was there's like 400 of us on the field. So the swirl was going one direction and then another direction. So when the talent were on stage, they wanted to bum rush the stage where they're not even supposed to be placed because we were given certain areas were supposed to be placed. They just started to bum rush. And when you're running like this, so of course your hands on fit. And the one girl that they collided with, she was the IDD last time, and she got sucker punched, and she had to tell the talent coordinators, but what can they do? What they should have done was thrown them out.
Yeah, you got to follow directions.
Yeah. And they were at IDD last time. They showed up. I was like, oh, please listen. I hope you guys are listening to what we're telling you guys, because there's so much stuff here that you can learn from.
Yeah, because you guys don't say these things just for fun.
No, you heard the panel with the experiences that they've had. It's not like just telling a story because they want to be a-holes. That's not the case. I think it's just really funny because I've told that story so many times at IDD regarding the influencer, and I crack up because now Jamal was sitting right there telling the story himself. I didn't know 5 years later he had auditions, and that person showed up and they're like, oh, no, we've worked with you once before. We're not working with you again. you know? So that to me is a great example. And I hope they were listening, those kids. I call them kids because they're teens, and learn from it. Because we don't say these things just to scare you. We tell you these things to think about so you learn. Because your work ethic is going to precede you. That's what's going to get you work. And if you're going to be known as a difficult person to work with, nobody's going to keep hiring you. They may not be the best dancers, but they can learn the choreography at rehearsals, make it better, make it perfected, but you'll be a joy to work with. Much better that way. It's just sad. It's so sad to me that people just don't understand how to be a professional dancer on the set. And when we do these intensives, we try to share those moments and explain to dancers, this is what happens when you're on a job. Learn from it.
So because you brought up IDD, I just want to get right into it and ask, are experiences like this the reason you decided to create and start IDD?
You want to hear the real truth? And you can edit this out if you want. I was going through a divorce, and during that time, it was right in the tail end of the pandemic. I kept showing up at workshops because I kept seeing dance clients of mine started popping in Vegas. And I said, I'm going to go by, say hi. I haven't seen them in a long time. And then I go to the tail end of the class, and I found myself wanting to answer the questions in the Q&A at the end of class. And I'm like, nope, be quiet. You're a fly on the wall. Just watch and see what's going on. And I said, maybe it's time. Maybe it's time for me to do my own intensive because I've been talking about it. I've just been so busy, but during that time when pandemic happened, things were just barely getting back. And I said, maybe it's now the time. I was going through the divorce. Finances were getting depleted. There was not a lot of work coming in. And I said, let me give it a try. The first IDD was September 2022. I remember so clearly. I was so excited. I was bringing Rosera McCoy, and we have Travis Payne. I mean, both OGs in the industry. The signups were so slow. I was like, what happened? Where are all these dancers in Vegas? I'm like, we're in the entertainment capital of the world. Where are the dancers in Vegas? Almost canceled. It was that slow. And so I was talking to all the parents, the dance moms, and I was like, where are all the dancers? And they're all like, oh, Vegas is just slow. They procrastinate. I'm like, seriously? And I said, okay, I'm going to give it 48 hours before I decide to cancel it. Sure enough, people were trickling in. And mind you, we start announcing like a good 4 to 6 weeks because we do the specials. We have the early bird specials, we have the pre-sales, and you would think people will jump right in. But this is like 2 days before the intensive that I almost canceled, and people started signing up. And I said, okay, I can manage. We can do this. And at that time, we only had 2 choreographers that we bring in and then the panel. And the morning of, there was a bunch of people that were just trying to get in. And I was like, I'm putting people on the waiting list because I don't know if we can get everybody in the room now. So from nobody signing up to now we're about capacity. So when I got in, I asked the front desk, how many people can you guys fit in the room? And this was at Millennium. They said, oh, we've had 90 to 100 people there. And I said, okay, cool. I told my associates, start texting everybody that were on the waiting list and tell them to come in now because we can accommodate everybody. So we were full house. So that was the beginning of IDD. And I felt like as the pandemic started, as soon as the pandemic was over and the city started to open up, I noticed that there were more and more people moving to Vegas. So I said to all the agencies, I'm like, you guys, there's a ton of great dancers in Vegas. You guys need to see them. And why is there no agency representation in Vegas? And everybody was like, we've tried that before and it didn't work out. I'm like, let me test the waters. And then I started bringing them here. And then people just started booking work because of the panel that we bring in, the choreographers that we brought in. Rosera came in like a month after IDD, and he was doing the Soul Train Awards. And I think 8 out of the 10 dancers were from IDD. And everybody came in and auditioned for it. So that was a start, and it proved that the program works. And then the agencies were signing people up, and then we were blessed with the presence of the casting director from Cirque du Soleil. Since day one, they have not missed one intensive because they've booked, I think, 7 dancers out of the 8, 9, 10 IDDs that we've had since we've had this 2 years ago now. So they've always hired people. So people are on Mad Apple. They've had people that were on Beatles Love. Sadly, that closed. And then they've had people on what other?
MJ?
Yes,
Okay.
MJ. Just all the different Cirque du Soleil shows. And I thought that was really cool to see that people were working. And then if they don't work right away, like Tia Rivera came and she remembered some of the dancers that were at the intensive. And then she did Mariah Carey's tour. And then she booked one of the kids that was at IDD because, she has little kids on her tour. So I was just like, okay, those are wins. I love the fact that when I was a talent agent before I got to casting, that was my biggest passion. I was in it for 10 years and I just loved dancers working. So we would have 4 TVs in my office and they're all constantly running. All the different channels. That was back in the day when music videos were music video TVs. MTV was a music video channel. VH1 was a music video channel. So we see all our clients working. And that was so fascinating to see all these dancers are working and you were part of that. And then there were times that we are like, okay, we know some of our dancers worked with J-Lo on the women's, I think, soccer. It was World Cup and it was in LA at that time. And then they did a music video out of that particular performance and they inserted some music video footage that they created just for that song. So being that we did not get asked permission to use that footage, we were able to go after the production company and say, you guys use the footage of a performance that our dancers were on and you guys didn't get permission that you can use that for a music video. Now you owe music video fees. So that's what a job of a talent agent does.
Mm-hmm.
They're just not there to look for work.
Mm-hmm.
They're there to keep sure that you are taken care of. Mm-hmm. They lift footage from performances that you've been in and they use it for other things. And that was not negotiated ahead of time. That's our job, is keep an eye, monitor all those things, collect your money, make sure you get paid on time, mm-hmm. and make sure you're getting paid the correct fees and all that good stuff. So that's a little bit of the agency side of me that I did for 10 years and now casting and now, I'm dabbling in producing and stuff. And with my IDD, I just love it all. I just love going back to my roots because dance and music is like what got me here. That's where I started from.
And okay, whoa. I know English, I promise. What initially brought you to Vegas?
Cost of living. I got married here in 2013 and we'd already been talking about moving to Vegas. And it took a few years for my husband then to decide, let's go for it. And in 2017, we moved here. Mm-hmm. So it was something in the process. And I've been working from home for years before the pandemic even happened. And I was like, why are we throwing away money living in LA? Mm-hmm. Rent is so high. Cost of living in LA was so high. And I was just like, I can do this in Vegas. I can do this anywhere. Mm-hmm. Why do we have to be in LA? And sure enough, as soon as we moved here, shortly after the pandemic happened, and it was the perfect timing. Mm-hmm. It was right before everything got so expensive. We bought our home after a couple of years. So everything was just right on time. Mm-hmm. Talk about timing. It was just right on time.
I love that. And was it when you moved here that you were starting to see that little hole in Vegas of not having that kind of agency representation?
Actually, right when I moved, because the first year I was here, I was doing auditions for jobs and I was like, where are the agencies? Where are the dancers? Why can I not find them? So I started to build my roster. And when I was popping in at those workshops, and that gave me the aha moment. Mm-hmm. Okay, create your own intensive so you can build up your roster more of dancers. So now I have over 600 dancers in my roster. And those are just predominantly people that have attended IDD mm-hmm. or submitted for castings mm-hmm. that require dancers.
They're
all mostly Vegas.
Okay. Wow.
So there are a lot of dancers in Vegas.
There are.
That's all ages too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you cast for a lot.
I cast for everything,
Yeah.
but for dancers, I opened it up for 10 and up
Mm-hmm.
for IDD. But some of them maybe are 8 or 9, but they're such advanced level that I tell the parents, I'm like, as long as they're not going to feel intimidated by the adults, and they're like, oh, they're not. They're very competitive. And you see them in class, and I'm just like, I get it.
Oh, yeah, they're little firecrackers.
And it's so good to have them in the same room. Because originally when I started IDD, I was going to keep separate rooms. But it dawned on me, if they're going to be an intermediate and advanced level, why not put them in the same rooms where the adults are?
Mm-hmm.
It pushes the adults to get better so they're not getting lackadaisical because they're now up against the little ones. And the little ones are showing off to the adults that they can keep up. And I love it.
Oh, yeah, we love the healthy competition, the healthy, push that you need. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I never would have thought of that. That's great. I mean, that's why you're here, because you're great. Because it's true. So, can I ask what kind of workshops you were, coming into during that year?
Okay. Master classes.
Oh, okay,
A lot of people were having master classes, and they would do, a half-an-hour Q&A at the end.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
So would you say now that you started that, do you think there are a lot more LA people looking at Vegas?
Yes. At our last IDD, there were a lot of transplants from LA. That was my first time meeting them. And I was like, how did you guys hear about IDD? Oh, a lot of our dancer friends have been talking about it. And they're like, this is a great introduction to be in Vegas around other dancers, around the dance community to be introduced.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, we're coming back for the next one. And I love that because here you are, LA dancers who are loving the program. So you weren't there. This was your first IDD.
Mm-hmm.
So you missed the one that Furley was in, and that was back in September. And the first thing she said, and she wasn't being cocky at all, and she was being truthful. Half of you guys here are not going to be here next year. Think about that. Because a lot of people from other cities are moving to Vegas and they're coming after your job.
Mm-hmm.
So meaning if you're going to be lackadaisical and you start to get a little too comfortable and you don't feel like you need to go to classes, it doesn't have to be IDD. Go to dance classes, get seen, go to workshops, go to all these pop-ups. A lot of LA dancers, choreographers are coming out here to do pop-ups. Attend them. Show up. If you don't show up, you're not going to get seen. But the big plus you have coming to IDD, which is what I tell everyone, invest in yourself. You're getting 3 classes from working choreographers. And then on top of that, you have a panel. The intention is 3 people in the panel. But people call me at the last minute. We're looking for dancers. Can I please come and sit in? That's why we had 5 people in the panel last time. And there will be a ton more people that will just pop in because they want to take a peek and see what's in there. And I had those too at the last IDD. And it was just a fluke that Blair Farrington is working on that MJ Revolution show. And they're getting ready for a tour overseas. Mm-hmm. And the Asian lady that was there with her peers is working with the people that are producing it overseas. And I was like, have you met Blair? I'm like, well, let me introduce you. I just love connecting people. That was their first time meeting each other. So I thought that was really funny.
That's amazing.
And it was just in passing. I said to her, you want to come to my IDD? Because she had never been, but we're working on a project together. And so she's like, I'd love that. I think I'm free next weekend. And then she was looking at the panel and I said, and it dawned on me, I'm like, the show you're doing in China, I think Blair is doing that one. And then both of them were talking at IDD. And I'm like, I think you guys need to talk. I think you guys need to know each other.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
That's so cool. How those things
can
happen. Yeah, so randomly, so synchronistically.
Yeah.
Just opening up space.
And I always say, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be for a reason, right? So it was just all falling into places. And I ran into Jennifer Romas the week before, and I said, can I save you for the next one? Because I already have 3 people in my panel, turned 4 the time I saw her. And she goes, okay. And then 24 hours before IDD, she said, I really want to come to IDD. That's why she was the added bonus at the last hour. So there'll be there'll be situations like that where everybody's last minute that they want to come. There have been times we have IDDs with 4 teachers because a teacher becomes available and I can't say no to them because it's so hard to get them to come. And being that one of the biggest caveat that I have selecting working choreographers is that they're always working. So when they become available, I have to snatch them. But I also am prepared that they might have to fall out last minute, which happened to Jamal in January because he booked a movie that was filming in Canada with the Jonas Brothers. And I said, okay, I got to find a replacement. And we did. And then I said, when we picked the date for March, I hit him up again. He goes, I can be there. I promise I'll be there. So he made it. But that took me 2 years to get him here.
Yeah, that's because that's question has crossed my brain that's got to be difficult to.
That's the biggest challenge.
Yeah, to get those people when they are working and they're booked.
Yeah.
And
that's why I can never get the Wilson Brothers. Wilson Brothers, if you're listening, we want you. So you can see all the IDD dancers, all the Vegas dancers that come up. They're always working, which is great. I'm so proud of them.
So do you always have to have like backup teachers or do you just?
I have a handful of Vegas backups because in the moments notice like that, I need to be able to call on them. So I don't know if you know Chucky Claypow. He's
oh my
amazing.
gosh, I remember taking one of my first industry classes from him when I was like 9 years old. And I loved, I was so obsessed with his class.
And he lives here now. I used to represent him when he was this little. And then he became Kenny's assistant and he became a casting associate choreographer. And then he did all those high school musicals, you know. So Chucky moved here. So when I found out he lived here, I had him come to one of my IDDs. And I had a dropout last minute and I needed to replace someone. And I brought him in. Yeah. So I do have those people in my back pocket every now and then. So if they're available, great.
Amazing. Sorry.
And just to finish my comment about IDD, what sets us apart from all the other intensives and workshops is that the teachers that we bring in are working choreographers, as we've been speaking about, because I recognize that a lot of dancers in Vegas are in shows, they're in residencies, they can't take off in a moment's notice to go to LA for an audition, that I want the choreographers to see them. So if they have a job here or in LA or wherever it may be, that they can count on Vegas dancers. And that's proven the fact already with some of them that have jobs in LA and have booked them and were able to work as LA locals. So this big job that I'm casting for a big corporate event in April is happening in LA. And I already have a handful of Vegas dancers that are being considered for it because they can be local hire, you know, so.
Yeah. And a lot of us have friends in LA that are like, oh, if you're ever in the, if you're ever in town, you have somewhere to stay.
Hey, dancers are gypsies. They can live anywhere they want to. They can work anywhere they want to. As long as they have friends anywhere, they can hang out on somebody's couch, whether it be a day or a week or a month.
I will do what I need to do for the job.
You all do it. You all do it.
Have you noticed a very big difference between the dancers in LA versus the dancers in Vegas when it comes to maybe culture or how they take classes or how they operate?
Absolutely. Having been a talent agent for 10 years for LA dancers, I could totally spot them in the room. And you can see how they carry themselves. You can see how they present themselves. I got to give my IDD dancers, though, that have come back many, many times, and they have been taking the notes that they've learned from all the different intensives that we've had. In this very recent one, I scanned that room and I looked at everybody. I was like, wow, you guys look amazing. Not that you didn't look great before, but you've taken the fact that you all now need to step it up because you are essentially auditioning for the people that are on the panel. Whether you like it or not, they're watching you for potential jobs. So you may be taking a class, you may be taking a workshop at intensive, but we're all watching you. So if you look presentable and you carry yourself like one of those LA professional dancers, then they can see that you can be one of them. So with that said, I've seen them gotten better. Presentation-wise, look-wise, dance-wise. So I'm happy to see that the LA dancers are blending in the room with them and they can keep up with them. That's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Very good thing.
Yeah. In Vegas, it was interesting you telling the story earlier about your first IDD and the dancers coming in like last minute. And I feel like Vegas is so different from LA in the way that like dancers operate in the city because we have a I've never worked in LA, so I may say this wrong, but we have more opportunities for work in Vegas because of how much work there is in the city with like different random, club events and industrials and brand ambassadorships. Like it's never ending. So I feel like, and again, I could be wrong, that that hunger, that drive doesn't always have to be so high in Vegas because there's not as much in LA. So they always have to be, on that drive, on that hunger because the jobs are a little bit less.
You are not wrong.
Okay.
And that's one of my frustrations because I feel like they're comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
So they tend not to take classes, whether it be IDD or dance classes. There's a gal that I'm doing mentorship with right now. We started it's called Industry Dance Lab mentorship. And we started in January. It's a 12-week course, and some are doing it for 16 weeks for those that are a little bit more novice. And this gal is in a residency. She does 10 shows a week. And she makes it a point to get to dance classes on her days off. I give her so much kudos for that. Because what you do on a show, you can easily get stagnant because you're doing the same thing over and over again. Every show, 10 shows a week. So to sharpen her skills, she makes a point to show up to dance classes, to go to IDD intensives, because now she's learning from 3 different choreographers and potentially get seen for other jobs. Because there may be times that you might have a downtime on your show, or there might be a one-off that you can do and maybe take a day off from work and go do something different, because those jobs pay good money. Corporate gigs pay good money if they're the right Dancers Alliance rate fees. But that's my point. I want to encourage all the dancers, Vegas dancers, LA dancers, whatever the case may be, to keep honing your craft. Don't get too comfortable. In fact, get uncomfortable. The more uncomfortable you are in a class, the more challenge you get, the more work you can work on yourself. And that will just make you better. I've seen so many people online and watch them take classes from the same people. And I would say, oh my God, they are so good. They need to come to IDD. I send them an invitation. I tell them they need to come. And I see them in the intensive and they can't keep up with the classes because they are stuck in that one teacher's style because that's all who they take from.
Mm-hmm.
So now they're not doing themselves service, because if they were to audition for a job, then they can't adapt to different styles quickly because all they do, I mean, they might be taking 5, 6, 7, 8 classes a week, but if it's from the same teachers and the same styles, you're not ever going to progress. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And you can see that from the different people that take classes. People that come to IDD. And some of them, I can see they get frustrated because they're like, okay, that's not my style. But guess what? If you get a job, it might not be your style. All those choreography that you're going to learn on a show may not be your style, but you still have to learn them. So why not learn it when you're taking classes, when you're taking workshops, intensives, pop-ups? Not just one class or one style of class that you keep going back to. You're going to perfect that style because you're there 8, 10 days a week. Make sense? When I was in scholarship at Tremaine, and that's where I came from, we had to take 16 classes a week. There has to be ballet in there. There has to be tap. Tap was not mandatory, but ballet was, jazz, funk jazz, jazz funk, hip hop. All those classes you need to be able to take all week. And it made so much sense because when you go to the real world, when you get outside of the scholarship and you go to the commercial world, you're going to need to be able to know how to do all those styles. So if you notice a lot of technical dancers started learning how to hip hop, you can see the difference. with hip hop dancers that are technically trained, but guess what? They can adapt to hip hop just as well as a hip hop dancer, but they may have, and I say they may have more longevity on the job because they are consistent with their training.
Mm-hmm.
And hip hop dancers may not necessarily be great at technical stuff if they don't train with technical stuff. Makes sense?
It's like keeping up the condition of your tool bag. Because if you are just throwing everything in a plastic bag, it's all going to break and all your tools are going to be on the floor. But if you have a really nice, stable tool bag, you'll always be able to use those tools whenever you need them. I love analogies, by the way.
That's a very good analogy. And you just need to perfect your craft any way you can so you are more marketable. Marketability in this industry is so important. If you pigeonhole yourself as one area of the dance styles, then you're not allowing yourself to be bookable. This job that I'm casting for LA, they're looking for breakers and trickers, but they asked if they can also learn choreography because a lot of times when you get those trickers, they can only do that certain thing. They're just b-boys, but they need them to also be able to learn choreography because they want them to be part of the ensemble cast. So yeah, I found them. We have them.
What would you say is the skill, whether it be like a physical skill, being multi-disciplined, or it can also be like maybe, I don't want to use the word personality skill, but what skill do you think is lacking the most in dancers or?
It varies. I mean, for me, it all has to be a full package. Personality has to be there. Work ethic has to be there. The skills have to be there. But if you heard sorry, I keep hitting your microphone. If you listened to the panel and our guest choreographers last time, they all said the same thing. Have fun at an audition. Have fun in class because you can learn the dance steps once you book the job. So don't stress so much in doing a perfect job at auditions. And that's what happens a lot. You see so many people freaking out even at IDD, because a lot of them treat that as an audition, right? But they're so hard on themselves, feeling like, I can't get it right. But don't worry about that. I learned from Jackie Slide. I don't know if you know Jackie from Treme. She is like one of everybody's biggest mentor. And she always said, we watch you right here when you're performing. Forget about the steps. You can stumble in the steps. That's your solo. But this part here, if you are stressing, we're stressing with you. If you're having fun, we're having fun with you. So it's really important to have fun and have a good time when you're performing. But of course, if the emotion is supposed to be dramatic or, you have to emote with the music, right? Depending on what the performance is. You can't be looking too happy when you're supposed to be deep into your emotion. You have to understand what the performance is about. So in a nutshell, it has to be a full package for me. But I think what drives our attention first is your personality. Doesn't matter how good of a dancer you are. If this is deadpan right here, we're on to the next person. And I think you can attest to that when you're watching dancers too. Because when you're looking at somebody and you're like, oh my God, their technique is so good, but there's nothing up here. There's no life that will translate on stage. And we have people watching you from the back row and they can't see you having a good time. That's going to translate.
I want to dance with you. I want to watch you and be like, I just want to get up out of my chair.
You're making me feel like I want to dance with you. That's what you're supposed to do.
It's funny, if you don't mind me sharing a quick story.
Please.
I am a part of the cabaret show at the Paris Hotel.
Is that the one with Jamie?
Yes.
Oh, I've yet to come see you guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we were on about a year and a half of being in that space.
It's been that long?
Yeah.
I thought it was new.
Yeah, well,
because I know she started at Virgin for her Lady Luck show.
Yeah, so we actually had to open a week apart.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I still have to see Lady Luck.
Oh,
Jamie,
yeah.
I'm coming to see you soon.
And when we we had to put that show on really, really fast. We had like 2 weeks to put these shows together
Wow.
and get it out. As much as the choreography is there, the most important part about that space is making people feel welcome so they walk into the lounge.
Right.
So you have that like interactions. I say chill on the like, it's very free. We want to see your expression as a dancer and like have, yeah, like, you know, have fun. So that was something. And I'm also very lucky enough to be the dance captain of that show. And I remember like in the first few months, like taking notes again, it was all very hectic when we opened, always kind of reiterating that. And just last weekend, I went in to take notes and I said, girls, it is so much fun to see you guys interact and have so much fun in this show. And they were like, yeah, remember when at first that's what you told us to do and we were a little hesitant and now we're doing it. I'm like, yeah, you guys are having so much fun. Like I have, other than 2 little tiny notes that are absolutely minuscule that no one would ever know.
Yeah.
Other than those, like you guys are just bringing so much color to the stage and to the lounge that like that's why this show is working because of what you guys have put into it. And it's like I like love it.
That's good because dance is supposed to make your audience feel you and enjoy the performance, right? And especially if it's like a ballet, you want them to feel your emotion. That's why sometimes you see them crying because they can feel you, right? So it's just as well when you do those kind of shows. You want the interactive. Same thing at the disco show. Have you been to the disco show?
I haven't been to that one yet.
Girl.
I've heard so many great things, though.
We have so much fun when we go because my sister and I, that's my era. And we love going there because we get to be ourselves and we get to interact with the dancers. The first night that we were there, it was the funniest thing. They had a host on the show and she was so cute. At the end of the show, everybody kind of like joined the dance floor where all the audience were standing and we were just doing our thing and we started getting everybody on the line dance and the drag queen diva, she walked up to some of the dancers. They're all looking at her like, do you guys know these girls? And they're all like, yeah, those are our friends. Can they come every night? This is so much fun. And we're like, because it's our music, all we know how to do is have fun with that. It's just, no matter what, like your feet just want to keep moving. They just don't stop moving. And no matter how many times we say, okay, we gotta go, we're still there because the music just kept going. If the music is great, we're never going to leave the place. And this happens all the time. So every time we've gone back to the disco show, it's been the same thing. And we've had different dancers that we've interacted with, and they all say the same thing to us. They're like, can you guys please come back?
I love that.
Like, put us on payroll. We'll be your plant in the audience, producers of the show. I almost cast that show too. I wanted to cast that show because that was totally my era. I was like, I would love to work with you guys. My sis and I danced for the Las Vegas Aces, and they had the senior dance team that's 50 and over. So the first year we both danced together, and that was the first time dancing together in many, many years. So oftentimes people will come up to us and they're all like, oh my God, we just love watching you guys dance. And we're like, how do you know which ones we are? They're like, we don't miss you guys. We know which one you all are. And not to mention, I guess it's the big hair and they're like the big hair sisters, but they're like, we just see you guys on the dance floor and it's just so much fun to watch you all. And it's the big smile and we're just no care in the world. We're just having a good time. And believe it or not, we do that at the Pinky Ring too. Just telling y'all our secrets. We go to the club at Pinky Ring and we start doing 5, 6, 7, 8, and we're doing choreography. Straight on choreography. And there was a time we ended up in the front of the band and we did a turn and the crowd was behind us, backed up to make sure we had room. And the band was just watching us and they're like pointing at us like, yes, you know, and we died laughing. We were like, this was cool, but that was kind of scary at the same time because we didn't know everybody's all eyes on us. When we left the club, again, people were following us and they were chasing us. We go, are you guys hired dancers for the club? They were like, no, we're over 60. They're like, no, you're not. We're like, you would never know what our ages are because of the way we dance, our energy. We just have a good time. In fact, Bruno was there for my birthday. We were there in June last year. So every time he's in town performing, apparently he has his own booth. That's his club. And his band would be playing and would started at 8 o'clock at night. Did not know the DJ's wife was clocking us because we closed down the club. The next day we had exchanged Instagram pages, and I saw her posted. She goes, "What a great time we had for the first night that it was her husband, the DJ." She goes, "First time my husband DJ'd at Pinky Ring. We had the best time in our lives, and we met so many wonderful ladies that danced from 8 p.m. till 3 in the morning." And we're like, "Oh, we closed down the time. We closed down the club. We didn't even realize." I go, "Girl, I didn't even know you were clocking us." We were laughing.
I love that. I want to
In
go
high
dancing with
heels.
you now.
In high heels, girl. We see dancers there all the time. Yeah.
Absolutely. But I love that. The power of dance is so amazing.
We put good music anywhere, we'll be dancing. It doesn't matter where we are. We'll get the hype going. We're the hype crowd.
I love that. I'm obsessed. That's so fun. I have a little bit of a serious question because after all of your years of experience, how do you still have such a heart on fire for dance?
When you're passionate about something, it will never die. Dance is just in our blood. I mean, and mind you, I started dancing at a very older age. When we moved here from the Philippines, I was barely 13. But we had just started dancing in Manila. My mom saw this dance company had a show on TV. It was like their big recital. It was televised and everything. She looked at us, me and my sister, and she's like, "Do you guys want to do that?" And we're like, "Sure." Then we started taking dance classes, and we loved it. And the owners of the studio walked up to us one time. They're like, "Can we invite you guys to dance in our dance company?" And the dance company was their advanced students. And we were like, "Wish we could, but we're moving to the States." And that was the year we were leaving. And they were so bummed out. And we found a high school that we went to that had dance class. So we had dance class in the first period, and then we just kept going. And the teacher was looking at us. She goes, "You guys are really good. Y'all should come take class at Tremaine Dance Studio." And that's where she was training. That's what introduced us to Tremaine. So I was in my late teens by then, and there were like, talk about deer in headlights. We're staring at all these dancers and performers. Mind you, this is where all the celebrities go to take training from.
Oh,
Come on, it's Joe Tremaine. And everybody from all the TV shows you can imagine, we're checking them in because we were work studies. So we had to check people in. We take classes, we put in hours for work. And it was just like an eye opener what the dance world was all about. And then a few years later, we continued our training there. I remember our first audition was the summer scholarship at Tremaine. And my sister and I both were like, "Let's give it a try. Why not?" We have no idea what we're getting ourselves into. We got selected, and it was a 2-month summer scholarship program. And we were just loved it. And we were training, and then a dance agent showed up in one of the classes, and she was actually auditing one of the dancers that invited her to come see him because he was looking for dance representation. And that year we had just done Star Search. Now, for those people that don't know what Star Search is, it was the original America's Got Talent. It was with Ed McMahon. They had dancers, singers, and comedians, and actors, and models. It was the whole thing in the industry you can imagine. So dancers were featured in that competition show so many times, so highlighted, and it was so fun. And I was just like, at that time, the agent was like, "I want to represent you." I'm like, "Actually, I'm in work study. I can't be represented by an agent yet, but my sisters and I danced on Star Search. Here's our tape." So cheesy. Fast forward a year later, my boyfriend was meeting with that agent, and he had gone home, and he was like, "You've got to get in touch with my agent. She's so busy and they need help." There was nobody there to answer the phones. And I said, "Okay." I called her up and I said, "I heard you might be looking for help." And she goes, "Yeah, why don't you come down and interview?" At that time, I was already in my early 20s. And I said, "Okay." And I'm waiting for her. She was late for our meeting. and the phones were ringing off the hook. Her assistant was going bananas. And I said, "Do you need help answering the phones?" She goes, "Yeah, just answer the phone this way." I said, "Okay." And then the agent walks in shortly after. She goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "She needs help, and I'm helping her answer the phones." She goes, "You're hired." Just like that. That's how she hired me. And her assistant thought I was there to get trained. She didn't know I was coming in for a job interview. So it was a fluke that happened. And then I ended up working at the agency for 10 years. I was her assistant for 10 years. And then I was like a junior agent. And that was my start in the dance world. So I was still going out on auditions. I was touring with an artist, and I would go travel. Well, we went to Japan. We were there for 10 days. When I came back, my agent was like, "Okay, it's time for you to make a decision. You still want to go out and audition for dance, or do you want to work at the agency full time? Because I can have you doing both." I'm like, so I hung my dancing shoes at mid-20s. And I realized too at that time that a lot of the dance jobs were for tall dancers, 5'6" and up. That to me is tall because I'm short. I'm 5'2". And so when I go out in auditions, I was like, man, I'm never going to get cast because I'm not tall, blonde hair, blue eyes. And I'm not Asian looking enough when I get sent out for Asian jobs, but I booked more on Hispanics and light-skinned Black girls. I had spiral perm on my hair. And so I was like, okay, I booked more work in that sense. But then when she said, okay, you need to make a choice. So I said, I want to continue working at the agency. So I stopped dancing. And it was really good for me to make that transition because I would see all the dance clients at auditions. And I was dancing with them still when I would take classes. So when we'd prep auditions and stuff, I can realistically tell her, oh, that person might not be right for that job because they are not looking strong in that style of dance because I've seen them in dance classes. So that made the transition easy for me. And I really loved talk about passion, even if I was not performing, just the joy of seeing dancers getting work, just seeing them get those dance jobs. And it was one of the perks that we would go see all these live concerts or tours and stuff because our clients are in them. So we get to see them. And not only was I running the dance department towards the last few years that I was at the agency, I ran the music department as well. So we had musicians that would tour with artists that would invite us to come see them, and we had dancers on the show. So it was like a one-stop shop. It was the best thing ever. So when I moved into casting, I was still casting dancers and singers, and then it became more into reality TV shows because reality TV started in the early 2000s. And I was just dabbling in everything, anything. But every time I came back to a dance job, I was like so excited. I was so happy. In fact, I did 4 seasons of Making the Band. And every time we toured, the casting tour would go to like 8 cities. My sister always came with me. I would hire her and be one of her casting agents. And when it comes to the dance audition, we're on the sidelines learning the choreography, and the producers would walk right past us. They're like, "This is the best part of the job." We're like, "Yep." And it was Lorianne Gibson was our choreographer in all the seasons. So we represented her when she was a fly girl, way before she got into the Making the Band scene. So it was a reunion for us because I hadn't worked with her for a long time. And when I got brought on to do the casting and we reunited, it was like, it was a big family working together again. And Richie Squirrel, they call him Richard Jackson, was assisting her then. So we worked for all those seasons of Making the Band. And then she was working with Lady Gaga. And that was maybe about 15, 14 years ago now. What year are we now? 2025? So in 2010, I did the casting for Gaga's tour. It was her big arena tour. And we looked for dancers and singers in LA and in New York. Talk about a career move for those musicians. Some of those musicians are still working with her till this day. Like 15 years later.
Wow.
Her keyboardist and the guitar player. Everybody from all over the world flew out for that audition. That's how crazy it was. It was fun.
Wow.
So why you ask me, how do I keep my passion alive? jobs like this, when I see people working and I see that they have career jobs,
Yeah.
those are very dime a dozen. They don't happen very frequently.
Yeah.
But when you have great work ethic
Mm-hmm.
and you continue to work well with the artist, they're gonna be loyal to you. They're gonna
Yeah.
keep hiring you for jobs. And that just gives me so much joy to see those talent still working to this day with those people. And we did that.
Oh, that's so cute. I love that. Making those connections that'll last forever.
Oh, yeah.
And make an impact on those people.
And that's I've been coined by so many friends and colleagues that I'm a connector. I said, I guess I am, whether it be in representation or in the casting side. I love connecting those people and introducing people. Even with IDD, it's like they may not think of you for a job right now. It may be months later that they call on you for a job, and you may forget about it because you just assumed they remembered you through an agent or whatnot. Casting people always get back to me and they said, we cast them because we saw them at IDD. I love that. Yeah, so that puts fire in my belly.
Aw. What, if you could put words to it, what would be the biggest challenge that you've faced throughout all your experience thus far?
Biggest challenge in what sense?
Just like, let's say, whether it be on any of the sides, casting or as an agent, or that, like, whether it be talking to the client about what, their dancers, like, for instance, earlier you shared how they canceled those songs and they didn't need the stilt walkers anymore, being like they still need 50% of their, pay rate.
That was
those
a win.
kind of things. That was a win. But like anything like that.
To be truthful, when I do job interviews, when I get job interviews, I get asked, what's the most challenging casting job you've ever done? And I'm like, wow, I must be really good at what I do because I don't find anything challenging because I have such a wide net of network. I have tens of thousands of people in my email blast. When I do email blastings, especially when we do nationwide castings, whether it be, a competition show. I helped out with casting with Mr. Beast last year. And they cast 2,000 contestants on that show. And just to have all the different walks of life that I have on my database, that's so huge. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So the biggest challenge, I can't find a challenge. Like every job is a challenge, but I don't make it difficult.
Yeah. Or how about, what's the most surprising thing you've learned that you maybe didn't think you'd learn?
Ooh. In general or just in the dance world?
Either one.
That's an interesting question because I can't think of one right now. Although going back to the challenging, I just finished casting Golden Bachelor. And that's looking for over 65-year-old men. That was challenging. That was challenging. And I thought it was really funny because some of them were asking me out. And I'm like, no, I'm not a contestant in the show. I am single. The profile you see on the dating, and I have to join the dating sites because that's how I can find them. And I don't have problem approaching people. I go up to people all the time. As you can tell, I am a talker. And perfect example, I was at the Mary J. Blige concert and I was on my way to go to the restroom and some guy was staring at me and I was like, oh, he's handsome. And he goes, hi. I looked at him like, hi, how old are you? That was my first question. First thing I was thinking, when you're working in the casting world, you're always working 24/7. And I said, how old are you? 85. I said, no, you're not. You don't even look 60. And then all his friends were standing there and I looked at them. I'm like, how old is he really? And nobody would say a word. And so I'm standing there. He goes, oh, really? I'm 85. I don't think so, but you're very handsome. Give me your number right now. And I took down his number and I texted him the next morning. He's freaking 45. So that made him not qualified. It's Golden Bachelor. They had to be over 65. But that was a challenging show only because we needed to find the unicorn. Because he was the picker. And he needed to check off several boxes. And we find them. And then when they fill out the application, there was just some of the boxes that didn't fit in.
Mm-hmm.
So we lost them. But yeah, I think that would be the only casting job that I would say that's fresh in my mind that's the most challenging. Now that Mr. Beast is out and they're back to casting season 2, I'm getting a gazillion people hitting me up asking, are you casting this again? Because I want to try out. Because they missed it last year. You know what I mean? But I just love what I do. Let me tell you something. If you do not love what you do, you will not survive in this industry. Whether it be a performer, whether it be on the other side of that, because this industry is crazy. Let me just be truthful. It is crazy because you're going to come across so many different personalities from the people that you're working for, from the talent that you're booking. Yeah.
The owner of my school, Don Morrell, he always said, if you can ever see yourself doing something else other than being in this industry and dancing, you should go do it.
Yes and no. If you have passion in dance, don't leave it, but use as the other one as a backup plan.
Yeah. He was just like, if you can see yourself pursuing something else full time, you need to go do that because you need to have your full heart in this.
True. And dance, I hate to say it, y'all, you picked a career that is very competitive, and they will always have dancers and busloads that come to your city because everyone has that dream to become a dancer. But there's always going to be that small percent of dancers that will actually be the working dancers.
Would you say there's a certain characteristic that those those consistent working dancers have in common?
Work ethic. And I can only generalize it that way because I notice the same people keep getting hired and they hop from one show to the next. And you would think, oh my God, can I just get that one opportunity? Why are they hiring that dancer again? It's because they are great to work with. And I cannot stress enough how work ethic and just being joyful to work with makes a big difference in being a hireable talent and a repeat bookable performer. And I say performer because that goes both ways. Dancers, singers, actors, everything. You know, we remember if you create drama on the job. We remember at the auditions if you were a problem child because we're already watching you from the minute you walk in the door. And that's just the way it is, because the way you treat other people, we watch that too. That's why we say time and time again, just be kind. There's no reason to be a diva, especially if you're in an ensemble cast. Even more reason if you are in the lead, still do not have to have a diva attitude. There's no room for that. If you're on a tour, you need to be workable. You need to be somebody that they're going to want to be around with 24/7. If you're going to be an issue and you're going to have drama, and who wants that?
We're all trying to keep the boat afloat, okay?
Totally.
Let's do it together, please.
All it takes is one bad apple that will contaminate everybody else around them. One of the producers that have attended IDD had actually asked me, I want to bring you to my show. I want to bring IDD to my show. I'm like, how can I help you in your show? Because it's not like I'm trying to get them jobs outside of your show and you lose your client. She goes, I know, but I really just want them to learn from all these things you guys talk about in the Q&A. I said, I think I know what you're talking about. You want pep talk. I can do that. I said, what happens when you're on a show for a long time? It can get stagnant. You learn bad habits, It's a paying job. You don't want to leave because it's consistent, right? But you feel stuck. And then when you're stuck in something that you're no longer having a good time, then you become lazy. You start creating these bad habits, late for work, not showing up for work or trying to get your shifts covered. That's not healthy. for the cast, and that's unfair for the cast. And then you have new people that are coming in 6 months later, they're learning your bad habits when you're supposed to be encouraging the new dancers and showing them how to be a great dancer to work with and have longevity on that show.
Mm-hmm.
And all that comes into just refreshing people's minds. I think that's why I said I think you just want a pep talk, because a lot of your dancers that are new are all bright-eyed, bushy-eyed coming into the job. They're like, oh my God, this is the dream job for me. And then you're feeling like they're learning the bad traits from the older dancers. Yeah, the pep talk and just reminding them that it's okay not to be, it's okay to feel stagnant on your job, but do something to refresh it. You know, whether it be taking classes, whether it be taking a vacation time. Yeah, it is a job at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, if you're no longer enjoying your job, it's time to move on.
Mm-hmm. And I was going to say this earlier, but Tony Coppola.
Love Tony.
Me too. He always says all the time, the worst thing you can ever be is comfortable. So, like, being uncomfortable. And it's funny because the cast of like Cabaret, they'll always do, we have a lot of improv moments. So they're like, okay, like, who can throw an axle tonight? You know, just like little fun things that.
Challenging each other.
Yeah.
That's a good, healthy challenge because it keeps fresh.
Yeah. And it's like, how do you find the little ways to keep it fresh, entertaining, and still maintain the integrity of the show?
Absolutely. And you also want to enjoy coming to work, because then you have people that you love working with.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when the job becomes a job and you just want to show up because it's a paycheck, you don't need to be there, because now you're making everybody else around you feel the same way, which is not good. Right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When we did the ACEs, we had so much fun. We gained so much sisterhood with the people that we were dancing around with, our age, and if not, most of them were younger than us. And just to be able to hang out with them and have that, you know, bonding, that was really special. We had such a great time. And imagine dance did that. Dance put us all together, enjoying something that we love growing up. And be able to do that again at our age. That was so fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you're given that opportunity, do it. I wanted to try out again this year, ACEs, but I was doing IDD that weekend. The callbacks were that day, and I was at IDD.
I hear it's fun though. I coach at F45, and one of the members was like, "Abby, I'm gonna try for the ACEs. I need you to teach me to do a double turn." I'm like,
oh my gosh!
Or a pirouette. I was like, okay.
Which one?
Her name is Kim Forrest.
Did she make it?
I don't know. I have to follow up with her.
Recent?
I haven't asked. Yeah.
Yeah, my sister got it again.
Oh,
it's her third season. I'm so proud of her.
I love that. I need to follow up with Kim because she was excited about it.
And we don't need to do double turns.
Or it was just a pirouette or something like that. She's like, I just want to feel more prepared. That's okay.
Yeah, there are a lot of like former dancers. You know, a lot of them have danced on the strip, like on some older shows. Some of them had done cheer dance in the past. So it's kind of fun to see all these different backgrounds. You know, people that have had such careers in their lives in younger years, and to see them doing this again. That's, I think, what makes it so fun.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I think every performer probably goes through their ups and downs within the world, being really inspired and then feeling burnt out, you know, but it is amazing to see that there's those opportunities to always have that.
And we always say age is nothing but a number, right? So when it comes to age and they start questioning your age, it's like, if I can still dance circles around you, why does it matter?
Right? Absolutely. Because they're still killing it.
Yes. And there's a lot of them at IDD that are still killing it, and you would never guess their age because they still look great, and they don't look their age.
Oh, absolutely. I love it. Whenever people outside of dance will talk about, oh, well, I'm, mid-30s, and I'm like, I know the lizard at Mystere is like 37 years old. What are you talking about? I'm like, these guys are not the age you think they are, and they're doing incredible things, honey. Like,
And that's what
age
I
is
laugh.
just a number.
I laugh about that when, especially the younger ones, are like, "Oh my God, I'm not getting any younger." I'm looking at them, girl. I'm twice your age, and we're still dancing. Dance keeps us younger.
Dancing heals.
That too. When the world was shut down during the pandemic, what was everybody doing?
Making dance videos on TikTok.
Dancing and singing to keep our sanity and to keep us moving.
Yep.
Yep.
Absolutely. I love it. So good. Okay, so we've come to the point. I would love to know the funniest thing that's ever happened to you as
You want to do that first, or you want to do the intro since we didn't do the intro yet?
I'll record it later.
Okay. My funniest story. Okay, so I had to ask my sister this because I couldn't think of one, and she came up with something that was hilarious. When we were back in LA, we danced with there's 4 of us sisters and 2 male dancers who did Star Search with us, but we had to cut out one guy because they will only allow 5 dancers, which was so sad because we had to pick one over the other. But we couldn't break up the sisters. We like, hands down, there's got to be the 4 sisters. Anyway, we used to dance at all these different gigs. We would dance at the clubs, or we would do corporate gigs. And there was this lady who would book us on jobs and stuff. It's just like, I have this engagement. It's one number, and we just need you guys to do it at this event. Never told us what the event was, so our outfits were a little risque. And our choreography was a little risque. And when we did the run-through, nobody bothered to tell us anything. And this was like a dance fashion show performance. The show was like a dance fashion show, and we were the dance number that was performing that day. It was full of nuns.
No.
It was a Catholic event. So you could imagine we're walking down the runway and doing our dance moves, and we're looking at their faces just gasping like, OMG. Luckily, the number was not that long. We were done in 2 minutes, but that was the funniest story. You wanted something funny? That was good. I forgot about that.
That's hilarious. Oh, gosh.
But nothing risque. It was just, dance stuff that we would wear that to them looks risque. You know what I mean?
Not
no pasties or anything like that. No,
Oh,
we don't do that. They would have had a heart attack. Imagine half of the room would like faint.
Oh, that's awesome, though. I love that. Did you guys work a lot as sisters?
We did.
I love
Until my sister moved to Seattle.
Okay.
So just that year, 2 years, and then she moved to Seattle. There were Filipino artists that came out to this LA actually, and they had a show, big show at Raging Waters. I remember, and they brought the choreographer, and somebody heard about us, and they hired us as a unit. And then we brought in additional dancers with us and stuff. And that was a hell of fun. But man, Raging Waters in the summer, it was 90 degrees. It was hot. We were melting, but big smiles. We still turned it out.
Always.
Yeah, that was
Always
fun.
big smiles.
We had a good time. We've traveled dancing for one of these Filipino boy bands that we had back in the day. We opened the shows for them. We've performed in San Diego, San Francisco with them. That was fun. It was like one big family.
So I have to ask you this question because I feel like you'll have a really good answer for it.
Uh-oh.
And I didn't come up with this question. I wish I did, but it's a good one. If you could have your own billboard with a message on it for everyone to see, in the world to see, what would you want that one message to be?
Ooh. A billboard. It doesn't have to have my face on it.
No, it can just say the words, yeah.
It will sound cliche, but it could be something along the lines of dance till you drop, or dance like nobody's watching, because that's such a great quote. So anything about dance, it's like dance heals.
Yeah.
Not high heels, but dance will heal. I mean, that's what got me through my divorce. The first year, because I was dancing with my sister with the Aces, that got me through it. My family got me through it. That was amazing. So yeah, dance is joy. Dance is happy. Dance makes my heart smile. Always. That's why I don't think I'll ever lose dance in my life.
Mm-hmm. And I know that we haven't known each other for too long, but I can just tell. I can just tell from the way that you operate in the world that you just wear your passion on your sleeve, and it's so beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
I wanted to share a story with you. I know we probably are running out of time. I told you we can talk forever.
I know. I love it though.
When I was a dance and music agent at the agency back then, and Michael Jackson was getting ready for a show he was doing in South Africa. It was a big, big fundraising, one of those big galas that they were doing. It was them. I believe Boyz II Men and Mariah Carey was in it.
Mm.
So they only do like 20-minute shows because it was a big event. And I remember my clients asking us to come by for the run-through. It was the last run-through. So stage rehearsal and all. So there were two options in the morning and the afternoon. And my sister worked with me a lot. This is another sister, the baby sis. And I said, let's go to the last rehearsal so we can just go home after it. Because it was quite a ways. It was quite a drive to go where the rehearsal was. So we got there and everybody was outside hanging out. And we're like, aren't y'all supposed to start like in 15, 20 minutes? They're like, yeah, Michael's having a tantrum. It didn't go well at the first run through. Now he doesn't want any audience. We're like, no, we missed it. We can't not see the run through.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, stay, don't leave. So the whole parking lot cleared out. Everybody was gone. Kenny Ortega was directing this. And then when they were about to start, our clients were like, okay, come on in. So we see the stage in front of us, dark lights and everything. They put 2 chairs in the middle of the floor. 2 chairs. Mind you, it was me and my sister sitting on those 2 chairs. Kenny was standing by the sound booth way over there. And there was a family that got snuck in, that got tucked in the corner by the door. And we're looking at each other. We're like, we're about to watch a performance just with the 2 of us. Nobody can see us. You know that, right? And we were watching Michael do Michael. It was the very first number. It was Billie Jean. And you know his performance where he does the spotlight over his head and he does the snap thing. And if it's a millisecond off, he would like, again. And he must have done it for like 2 minutes or maybe 1 minute. It just seemed like it was forever. And we just watched this in front of us. And as soon as they finally got it right, they went through the whole run through, nonstop, 20-minute performance, costumes, pyrotechnics, lighting, everything. And it was like, wow. I think that was the biggest, amazing experience I had as an agent.
Wow.
Having a private performance with Michael, me and my sis. Even if the family was tucked in the corner over there, that to me was a big deal.
Yeah.
That was amazing.
To watch.
Second to that, they went to the Philippines. And my family was in the Philippines the year that they were doing the tour.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the dancers said, I set aside a bunch of tickets for you. Come pick it up at the hotel. We're like all excited. Didn't even look at the tickets. But we had to be at the venue 8 hours before the show because they had to bus all of us. It was like thousands of people there. They had to bus all of us from the location. We had to park ways away and then take us to the venue.
Mm-hmm.
So out of this sea of people, there were all these newscasters and everything else. Who did they spot in the line and interview? My family. We're all standing there and we're getting interviewed and all this stuff. And as soon as we got to the venue, didn't even bother looking at the tickets. Did I say that? We walk into the front of the line thinking we had to be right in the front center.
Mm-hmm.
And then the people at the gate looking at the tickets, no, ma'am, that's over there. Now, my parents were with us. They're not very fast, but we're making them hustle because the show's about to start in 15 minutes. And they're like, every gate we went to, no, ma'am, over there, over there. We were all the way to the back. And we're staring at the stage and we're looking at the screen. I'm like, we did not wait 8 hours to watch Michael on the big giant screen with my folks. And I said to them, hold tight. So there was another sister with my parents while me and my other sister were running backstage. Mm-hmm. We're running. And I'm talking to the people, security. I'm like, can you guys please get Michael's manager? This is my name. This is it. They're like, I need your ID. I'm like, I'm not giving them my ID to just some stranger. What if you don't come back with my ID? But I said, okay, fine. They got the tour manager out to come and get me.
Mhm.
I said, I am so sorry to bother you, but I need to go say hi to my clients. They invited us to come. And he goes, no, come on, come on. We're following him. He's giving us all these instructions about how many feet away we have to be from Michael's trailer. I'm like, yeah. We're here to see the dancer. So all the dancers and the musicians were seeing us and they're all flagging us and they're hugging us and everything. So he left us alone. He figured that, okay, all the dancers we know. So we get to the musician and this is his lead guitarist.
Mhm.
He goes, come, hands us a couple of laminates. He goes, how many are y'all? I said, there's 5 of us. He goes, okay, so you got stamped to get in backstage, right? So roll your stamp to your other final members. I'll meet you guys on the sound stage. And we're like, no freaking way. So he walks us to the sound stage. Mind you, this sound stage is elevated.
Mhm.
This is where the technical stuff goes on around us. And in front of us were the delegates. These are like government delegates. They're all the celebrities. They're all in front of us in the rows of seats. So I'm looking at my sis. I'm like, now we got to go get our parents.
Mhm.
So we're like, we'll be right back. We're rushing to go back. And imagine we have to see them in the sea of people.
Mhm.
So we're screaming my sister's name. It was like Marco Polo. And we finally found them. Didn't take very long. We finally found them. They were exactly where they were when we left them. And now we're booking it back to the soundstage. Now we all we have 2 laminates and we had 3 rolled over stamps. And we're like, okay, this is where we're going. And they let us all up there on the soundstage. My parents were sitting on top of the speakers. And they just like, wow, this is the best experience ever. And now my dad's telling everybody, Susan's the manager to all Michael Jackson's dancers. I'm like, no, Dad, I'm the agent to some of Michael's dancers, not all. But that story never changed. But he always told everybody I was the manager to all Michael's dancers. It was the funniest thing. And after that night, the show was over. Of course, they played all hours. We had the audacity to take all the dancers out to a club that my parents got them in. And we're like, okay, we're in the hottest club in Manila. And they're all like, who are your parents? This is really cool. Everybody's like taking pictures of all of us with the dancers. And of course, my parents were like, this is all Michael Jackson's dancers and musicians. By 3:00 in the morning, one of their friends were like, okay, I'm going to open up my restaurant so we can take them all out for breakfast. We got cars for everybody. So we're on a convoy to this mountaintop. I don't even know where the heck we were. And they opened up the restaurant, cooked breakfast for all the dancers and musicians.
Wow.
Richard and Tone Talawega was there. Chris Judd was there. Shawnette Hurd, Jason Wyvar. Who else were his choreographers and dancers that were with us? It was the craziest thing. We had so much fun. And then his musicians. And his musicians, David Williams, who, rest in peace, has passed since. If you listen to Michael's record and he does the guitar solo, that's him. Amazing, amazing musician. And I used to represent his 2 little girls in dance as well. So those were the things I miss being an agent because those were perks that we got to have. But you don't get that kind of experience with all the artists you get to work with. You know what I mean? I just had to share that story. That was fun.
Oh, thank you. I
You're
love what an incredible story.
Right? We're all the way across thousands of miles from different part of the world. And we get to see the dancers with us. We still get to talk about that.
Yeah. And I can imagine you have so many more like that where those came from.
Yeah.
That's just, I understand why your cup is so filled. Hearing stories like that.
Endless.
And if that's just one of them out of all of them, I understand.
And now you ask how I keep my passion and, my love for dance going. It's these experiences. And we still keep getting more experiences as we go. It just nonstop, you know?
I'm going to start crying because that's amazing.
Even on my birthday last year at Pinky Ring, when Bruno joined the band to sing, when they're in town doing a show, 99% of the times he's at the club because his band plays, the Hooligans. And he played the last set with them. And he saw us dancing in the dance floor. He got and joined us in the dance floor. And the beautiful thing about going to Pinky Ring is no phones allowed. So you don't get to record anything going on and stuff. And we were just dancing. And the people are the funniest thing because they're not used to just talking to people because they're always looking on their camera. They're all standing there staring at him. We were like, are you people going to dance? Because you guys are in our space and we want to dance. So we started dancing with him and he's leaning over talking to us and stuff. And we're not afraid to talk to people. It's just, they're just people. And it was the funniest thing.
I love that. I think I could listen to your stories all day.
Yeah, I'm telling you, we can be here all day, but cut it out.
I love it. And if anyone is interested, we will have the best place for people to follow you is on Instagram, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So there's Triplet Casting, which is my casting company. That's where I put a lot of my castings. It's TRIPLET casting, CASTING. It's really funny. Every time they hear triplet casting, they're like, do you only cast triplets? I'm like, no, it's triple threat casting. But it's so long that when I was trying to create my handles for everything, like my email address and my handles for social media, triplet casting was easiest. And then Salgado Entertainment for IDD stuff. Everything is on there. And our showcase, which we did last year, the first one. And we're going to be gearing up again to start doing our showcase this year.
Ooh, soon or like later in the year? If you don't mind me asking.
I'm looking for the venue right now because we want to do it for free. So all the dancers can come and attend.
Oh.
So I'm looking for a venue for free if anybody knows.
Okay.
Hit me up.
Yeah.
And I want it to be a real stage because I don't want a put together stage, especially when you have 20, 30 dancers on stage. I don't want that stage to be wobbly.
Right.
And a lot of venues that do put the stages together, it becomes that, and that makes me scared.
Yeah, because some of them aren't like built into the venue. They're just
We love the venue where we had it last year, which was at the Space. It was a great location, but it was our first show, so it was the best venue for our first show. But now that we want to do it for free, I can only imagine more people are going to show up. And we had a really decent turnout for our first one. I was pleasantly surprised. But I do want it to be a bigger stage that will accommodate more people and more space for everyone backstage too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because that was a bit of a challenge as well. Because that's a live music venue, which is great because you can have as many people you want backstage. But for dance, it is challenging to have a lot of dancers all at once. So we were having to monitor the holding area and the backstage area to accommodate everyone. Yeah. So it was difficult to find where the people are.
I can understand that. I haven't done much in that space. No pun intended.
It's a great venue.
It's beautiful. Yeah. It's beautiful. I was just there for Monday's Dark, but I can understand the organizing of that, holding areas and stuff within that.
What show did you go see at Monday's Dark?
It was a Puppy Foundation. Yeah, it was their puppy one. And I can't remember the name of the foundation at the moment, but they save puppies from like South Korea and across seas. It was beautiful.
Cute.
Yeah.
They do everything. It's amazing.
Yeah, the talent was.
Now, I don't know if you've been following the news. They have the Space 2.0.
Yeah, that was the night they announced it.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah, and I was
there.
Like, that's amazing.
So cool.
Yeah. What he's creating is incredible over there. But anyway, I am so absolutely honored and touched that you shared everything you shared with us today. And by us, I mean me.
And your audience.
And yes, the audience as well.
Well, thank you for having me. I was really, really excited that you're doing this for our entertainment industry. And I say entertainment industry because you're covering everyone, anything in the world of dance and music and producers and stuff, which is really cool. So kudos to you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Before the Curtain. Please be sure to rate, review, and subscribe wherever it is you listen to the podcast. We love to hear your virtual round of applause. If you know of a production or artist that deserves to have their story told, send us an email or message us on Instagram by clicking the link in the description.